So let's think a little bit about worship in the very early church. During the first 2 centuries, the Eucharistic continued to develop. It was recognised as the most important service of the church. And at the beginning of the 3rd century, Hippolytus, about 215, recorded the worship of the church in Rome. Actually, he'd split with the church in Rome and was elected as a bishop there by a smaller group, and so is deemed by the Roman Catholic Church as an anti-pope. However, fragments of his apostolic tradition give us the clearest idea of what worship in the early church was like, and they're appealed to by modern liturgists as a basis for their work. The Sacramentary of Seraphion, who was an Egyptian bishop who was a contemporary of Athanasius, also describes worship and prayer. In this, the word is asked to come upon the offerings to make them the body of the word, the blood of the truth. The bread on the altar was believed to become the likeness of the body of the Lord. As well as the spoken word, in the early years, the hymn became important. It's a very good way of passing on what Christians believe. The first hymns can be seen in the Bible, so Philippians 2 is commonly thought to be an early hymn. And main music for the early church would have been psalms, which they inherited from Judaism. But Paul also speaks of worship including spiritual songs. Well, if you look at Ephesians 5:19 or Colossians 3:16. I wonder which is the oldest hymn you regularly sing. Just pause the video and think about that for a minute. It's probably the Gloria in Excelsis. Glory to God in the highest and peace to his people on earth. Or the Te Deum. We praise you, O Christ. We praise you, O God. We acclaim you as the Lord. All creation worships you, the Father everlasting. You, Christ, are the King of glory, the eternal Son of the Father, and so on. Again, pause and reflect how they fit into the theological battles of the 2nd century. If you want to see the full text of both, I have them in my lecture notes. The Gloria was built up from being sung in the church in Greek from the 1st century. By the 4th century, it had reached the form we use today. It was one of a number of early hymns which are known as the Psalmi Idiotici, since they are composed by private individuals of the time rather than taken from the Bible. They're in the style of psalms. Others were probably written as well, but fell out of use as the church shifted to using only biblical texts for singing. Why do you think they did that? Another old hymn which we still use today is probably O Gladsome Light, referred to by Basil the Great as a rather old hymn. Now, Arius was good at writing hymns with catchy tunes, and this may have helped the cause of Arianism. Fortunately, Ephraim the Syrian wrote orthodox hymns, which eventually won the singing contest. When we get back together to discuss, have a think about how those hymns fit with the theological controversies and also about the singing of hymns versus biblical passages in church today.